course. Thanks for taking the time to chat with us, guys. I appreciate it so much. It's nice to see you guys on screen. Hi. I just want to ask maybe about Jon Chu's vision. I mean, he has such a meticulous style and attention to detail. Like, what was the experience like working with Jon Chu? And Lin-Manuel Miranda obviously makes an appearance in the film. Like, what was the experience like collaborating?
Go get it.
I think the overall creative team, that combo of Jon and Lin and Kiara, together, but also separate, their minds are just so creative, and they see the bigger picture that I know for me personally, I could never really see at first when it came to the film. Jon is just great. He thinks on such a big spectrum, and I know if there was a scene that I was struggling to kind of reach that point that I wanted to get to, he would just kind of take me to the side, tell me like one, two or three things, and then immediately I was like, yeah, like that's what I wanted. And Lin and Kiara, I mean, this is such a beautiful story that they've helped crafted, and I think it's really evolved from the Broadway production.
Right, and for me, it was one of the first where the director actually brings you in and has a conversation before and shows you the mood board and the story, the skeleton of the story and so forth. And you know, at first I was like, well, that's weird. The director's calling me in. I don't know if I still have a job or not. And I was like, oh, you actually want me to see what the sets are going to look like and what you're thinking of, and like what you want me to bring to life and what my thoughts are. And that doesn't really happen, especially when we, you know, we do this for a while and we try to like just be part of, but we really are part of. And in the Heights was that. It was like everybody was included. You know, we have a set vision, but we want to incorporate what everybody artistically can bring forth, their essence. And that Jon was very careful of, to stay authentic but respectful to the community and beyond. And so as an actor, I then understood how necessary it is for you to really be included and feel, you know, you feel it, but when you're actually experiencing it, then you're like, oh, then it makes sense. It makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, just even how, you know, we are referred to as the talent, you know, when we get into the room with Jon, first of all, he's just, you know, a homie, right? He's just really just a guy that is so approachable, right? And then that allows us to have a conversation. And so we're not any longer the talent, we are the participators in a collective experience, you know? So that, and the same goes with Kiara and Lin. And I just have to say, with those three people leading the pack, it is imperative that we all feel comfortable bringing our A game, you know, and trust them. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for taking time to chat with us. It's an honor.
I will.
Hi, Jimmy. Nice to meet you. Olga, this question's for you. I just want to let you know, your performance really struck a chord with me in such a regard. I saw my mother in Abuela, a woman working in a country, can't speak a word of English, struggling to, you know, to make it happen, to start a new life. I just want to know what it was like for you, because I know you originated this role on Broadway. What different approaches did you take to bringing this character to the big screen?
So much to talk about. I'm so glad you were touched. She touches me too, you know, and when I think of Abuela Claudia, and when I think of women like her, like your mother, and it's, I just tried to make her, I tried to maintain her dignity, even though she went through so much, you know, and there's a big difference between the stage and the movie, because, you know, Jon Chu's brilliance, he kind of just broke the barriers of the fourth wall, and his visual genius allowed me to just be in it, and then for him to just all around me create that magical world of Paciencia y Fe, which is the number that Abuela Claudia, my role, sings. I just wanted to to make her into this quintessential matriarch that we all wanted in our lives, or that we all want in our lives, whether you had a wonderful mother or not, because, you know, that's complicated. And so I took a little bit of my mother, of my aunties, of my grandmother, of friends' mothers, and I wanted to give her that just that giving nature where she was, where the people in the community could go to her for advice, for wisdom, for a cooked meal, for just to rest their heads. And it just gives me, I'm humbled that I was able to have this incredible journey with this character, from the workshops to the readings to off-Broadway to Broadway and now to the movie.
With regards to that question, I have been, and Olga and I have talked about this with, when we reference Latinx, Latino, Hispanic stars of the past. And I've been fortunate to have been in a couple of these ensemble pieces that you're talking about through the decades. And we always feel like this is the one that's going to break through. But there, you know, there's always that one or two. The difference is, and I think this relates to so many different topics, not just the Latinx community. And now that we've come out of this, or are coming out of this pandemic where the world got jolted, and we had to think about other social things that relate to inclusivity. This is going to be a little bit of joy that I think that audiences are going to really relate to, because of the universal themes, not just because of the specificity of the culture, because we're trying to be authentic and as spot on and positive as possible, but because it's time. Because the population numbers in both our countries are changing, are different, but are the same in terms of immigrants coming with a dream, whether it's from Ireland or from the Caribbean or from South America, that you want to feel community, that you want your children to do better than you. What am I thinking about, home that I left or the new home that I have? All of those things I think resonate really well in the film. And I think I'm hoping that audiences will take this little bit of joy and just go with it.
Thanks for taking the time to chat with us. It's such an honor. This is my puppy Beanie.
Cute.
Hey guys, so I want to talk maybe about the casting. This is the gig of a lifetime. I just want to know your reactions, the whole casting process. Maybe you can walk us through that, and also just vocally, you guys were like outstanding. My mind was blown how amazing you guys sounded, and I just want to know the preparation work it took to get to that level.
Do you want to take it? You want to take it?
The gig of a lifetime. I mean, yeah, I felt so many times. I know I've talked about this before, but I felt unworthy of the experience, because I felt like I was being spoiled, and I was, reminded every day by my lovely castmates, like, yo, it's not always like this. It's not always like this. And so I was walking around like I was in Disney World every day on set, and even throughout pre-production while we were sweating and sometimes bleeding on each other, like learning all these dance steps. I just felt I felt like home. I felt like home, and just feel so blessed and so fortunate to do all of this process for this film, because it feels so much of our heart, like so much of our hearts is in this, because it is, and they are our stories. You know, we finally get to tell our stories, what feels like our stories on a big screen and in a feature film. So it is the gig of a lifetime, and with amazing people. So yeah,
I think we both had really long casting processes. Like, it took us over a year from the first time that we auditioned. She auditioned, I sent a tape, and then like over a year later I got called in, and she also over a year later got called back in. And so it was long process to get there, but I think for both of us it was perfect because it gave us time to prepare. For Leslie, she was like, you know, I don't know, taking acting classes or like, you know, honing the acting skills, because she's an incredible singer already. And for me, I was like, I need to work on my voice. So I used that time to take voice lessons and to like really feel comfortable with the material, because Lin writes really hard songs to sing.
oh.
You know, so Yeah, for me, it was that nailing the vocal aspect, and
And that you did, darling. And that you did.
But I think the amount of time, like, you know, the timing was perfect because it allowed us to get to where we felt ready and we were ready to take on these roles.
Hi, I'm Will, Mr. Will Wong. It's such a pleasure chatting with you today, Jon.
Thanks, Will.
I just want to ask, as a Taiwanese American who's been asked to take on to helm this project, which is so richly embedded within the Latinx community.
Yeah.
You're a West Coast guy, and this is an East Coast story. Like, what were some of the questions and conversations you had to have preparing for this, to portray this so authentically?
Yeah, you know, I had so many questions. Even the question of should I be doing this, and I think that's a fair argument to have. I think that's a debate that, what a great argument to be able to go back and forth on. But for me, the fact that they allowed me to ask stupid questions was huge. I needed to understand things like, okay, so this blackout in the show is a really big deal, but like we get blackouts. What's the thing? And Lin and Kiara explained to me, you don't know how it feels when the plug goes out, and you don't know when you're going to get it back, and you're the last people to get it back. You're almost like invisible to people. That's what powerless actually is about. And I was like, so is it all negative and does like bad things happen? They're like, actually, it's the opposite. It's about love, because when God pulls that plug, you turn to the people that you take care of, who take care of you. And so I love this idea that this brilliant night that was supposed to happen, this brilliant dinner, never happened because of a fight. And in the end of the day, it did happen because they all turned to Abuela Claudia for safety, and they all came together and they played bingo and they had this moment. And in a weird way, I look at right now, the world has gone through a really tough year where we feel isolated, and we all turn to the people that we care about the most. Usnavi literally says that in the movie. I thought about the person I care about most, and I thought about you. And so we've had this readjustment. But then once you even get there, how do you get back up? How do you get back out? And Daniela goes out to that, does her last makeover for the neighborhood and says, believe in yourself. You are beautiful. You never needed me for the air conditioning or for your hair to be done. Grab your flag, be proud, and get up, dust yourself off, and you have each other. And I think that message is what the world needs now more than ever, and how appropriate that it's Washington Heights, the people of this community, showing how to survive, how to get back up, that it's going to guide the world out of this darkness and into the next light.